Jamal is a human being. If you meet, you will love. First, he was charming. He had great heart. He has never been judgmental in his opinion. He will disagree with you, but he will leave you with a smile. He is a fearless journalist. Whenever he believes in something, he will say it. He will say it politely, with wisdom. He knows the boundaries, but eventually he will never cover up on something that he believes it should be public. Just 2 days before his murder, he told me the slogan from now on should be democracy is the solution. In the Arab world, we have had many slogans. Pro-Arab nationalism, Islam is a solution, many other things are solutions, ideological slogans. From now on, one slogan should unite us. Democracy is the solution. Democracy that will allow every human being to express his opinion and to live as a free human being with dignity in our land. And that was, in my opinion, the overriding mission that Jamal had, especially during the last period, which is the 1.5 years of self-exile. He spoke to me about his dream of building this institution, pro-democracy foundation. Actually, just 2 days before his departure, he told me, can't we find 10 business people in the West, for example, Arabs or Muslims living in the West, who are willing to invest, each one of them 50,000, 100,000, and we found something that could teach the new generation the meaning of democracy and societal reconciliation. And we could launch a new trend that really could introduce the culture of democracy not only to the young, but also to convince the old that this is a great solution and it is a win-win situation for all of us. He had that dream, and I hope that this dream will be actualized. His death was connected to a very important factor. The Saudi regime believes that Washington is the center of everything. The only consistent foreign policy Saudi Arabia had during the last 70 years is America first. Jamal was sitting in Washington, writing in English, convincing people as a journalist that what's happening in Saudi Arabia at this moment in time is not as good as they would like to believe that it is good. Jamal was the voice of reason, where neither Washington, Trump administration, nor Saudi Arabia wanted at that moment in time. Trump wanted the money of Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia would like the legitimacy of Trump. And both of them didn't want this voice to exist. He was not an opposition. He was not someone who has an army who's going to fight Saudi Arabia. He was even sometimes full of praise for certain reforms that Mohammed bin Salman did in Saudi Arabia. But they didn't want even that margin to exist. They wanted only one narrative, that we have a reformer called MBS, and this reformer is going to change the face of Saudi Arabia. There are boundaries to what the regime could do against the opposition. They might hijack some of them, they might try to pressurize them, but he has never imagined that the Saudi regime can do what they did to him, killing him in that brutal manner. Why? Because Saudi regime of today is not the same Saudi regime that Jamal knew. But the new era of MBS, the Crown Prince, is different even from the legacy and the tradition of the previous kings and the crown princes in Saudi Arabia. And that Jamal maybe did not realize to the full extent. And this is why he never expected this brutal killing that might happen to him. Jamal was chief editor of Al Watan newspaper. Al Watan newspaper is a semi-official newspaper in Saudi Arabia. And normally in Saudi Arabia, you can't really be an editor of a newspaper without carrying the official line, in a way. But always there will be some form of a margin within the concept of following the main line. He thought as a journalist that he can push that line. And one day he wrote something, or he allowed something to be published, criticizing the religious institution that has, of course, the full loyalty to the regime, but at the same time it was a tool in the hand of the regime against everyone else. And then he lost his job. So again, within Al Watan newspaper, he lost his job because of his fearless journalism of pushing the boundaries. In Al Arab, as well, TV station, it was launched one day only. And in that one day, he hosted an opposition leader from Bahrain. It was shut down again. So that was what Jamal is about. Jamal will always take the advantage of any opportunity that comes to him, but always will try to be faithful to the ethics of journalism and push the line a little bit in order to test if he can really be free in doing whatever he's doing. If this crime goes without punishment, then this is a beginning of a dark age in the Arab world we will never recover from for decades to come. But now, after 20 days, I say, his death has given us hope. His death has protected us from a fate that Jamal actually did face. Simply why? Because until now, this story is headline across the world. His blood is not lost, and his voice is still echoed everywhere. And this is why it could be a new beginning. We could retrieve the hope that we had in 2011 during the Arab Spring, the early days of the Arab Spring, of launching something fresh and new. He is providing the new generation of hope that you could do. It's not impossible that you have your own space where you can operate. Jamal definitely right now, after his death, continues the same mission that he started during his life, which is liberating the Arab mind and the Arab world from tyranny and from the depression when we faced the counter-revolutions after 2013. I will remember him as a human being who was full of hope, but at the same time, he was well calculating in his approach and he was balanced. And before that and after that, I remember him as a great friend and a man with good heart. 2 days, in fact, before his murder, we had dinner together and he was, in a very good mood. He was very hopeful about the future. I joked with him, I said, Jamal, you are 10 years younger than last time I met you. Maybe because now you have a new love, you are about to get married. At that time he had a fiancée and he was preparing to get married. And he laughed. He said, it's beautiful that I told him it's a fresh start for you. He said, it's true. But you know where the fresh start will be? When we do something for our people. Let us do this foundation. Let us work for it. So while I am praising something in his personal life, he was still living the big dream of the public life and the big interest of the communities that he belongs to. This is what Jamal was about. Jamal has never, ever given up his, excitement about personal life, but never given up his excitement about the big vision, the mission that he belonged to, the Arab world that he dreamed of having, living much better life than the one that we are at this moment in time going through.